This one's kind of snarky. I am doing a video on literally the only 3 things I learned about writing with a college writing major. Wait, what was my major called? English with a creative writing emphasis, technically. I did a funny post on social media where it was just a trend. Nobody was being mean, but it was like, you think you can hurt me, but my college professor absolutely hated my debut and basically told me I'd never write a good novel. And I put a caption where I was like, I invited her to my first Barnes & Noble book signing, by the way. And also, not that she cares, but I won an award for Best YA Fantasy Author in Minnesota in 2020. Hold on. I never get to share this thing. Why am I not prepared? It's such a weird award because you literally can't read it. Hold on. Does this kid's toy make it readable? There. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Anyway, I never get to share this. And it's very sharp, so I have to hide it from my kids. But I'll put it here for now. I just have to remember to put that somewhere else because that's not safe with 2 kids, little kids. Anyway, let me come back to my point here. So I posted that and everybody was like flipping out like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that to you. And you know what? Same. But I was laughing because I was like, what did I learn from her? And I'm not trying to troll anybody, so I'm not sharing names, it's not important because truthfully, I don't think going to college for writing novels is a good idea. And the type of writing that, where I went to school at least, there was, actually I had one teacher who was really fun who did a grammar class. It was the best class ever. I still have the t-shirt from that and it's a grammar class, so very nerdy. And there was also a Shakespeare professor who was absolutely hilarious. I loved him. He did finger puppets to do the Shakespeare. Oh my gosh, he just made it fun. But the main writing professor that I had was like, I had her every single semester and there was always like, it started out with poetry, okay? And I am terrible at poetry. I still to this day do not understand poetry. And she wrote poetry and nonfiction. And those are 2 things that I'm just like, that's not what I'm interested in. So the first issue really was not necessarily her hating my work because it was me, but more her hating my entire genre, if that makes you feel better. So just, I didn't want any keyboard warriors here. But let me come back to my story because there's 3 things I wrote down. I was like, I actually am grateful that I learned these 3 things. The first one, I don't know if there's a name for it. I'm gonna call it, what do I call this? I don't know if she ever named it. Using sentences and paragraphs as punctuation. Okay, give me some credit. I think college was like 15 plus years ago for me, so I don't remember if she named it, but I'll give you an example. One of my personal flaws as a writer, because we all have flaws, okay, is I love long sentences. The run-on sentence that never ends really should be like 3 or 4 sentences split up. I've learned to edit those down when I go back to edit, okay, and sometimes even in drafting, but I really thought it was a cool lesson when my professor showed how the shorter a sentence is, the more it's like an exclamation point, okay? And I think she did a really good job explaining this. I'm probably butchering it because it's been so long, but she showed how she was reading this really long, basically what I'm talking like now, a lot of words, and then the next sentence was, wow, or, you know, just like a 1-word sentence, shorter. The shorter sentences in speaking as well as in writing and the shorter paragraphs are going to feel more punchy. They're going to feel like, as she called it, an exclamation point. So when you want to emphasize something, when you want to make something stick out, shorten it up. That's kind of the tip. Let me give you an example of, like, have you ever read a book where some super important thing happened? Like, a lot of my books are fantasy. So like a magical ability was discovered or the villain was showing up. And you're like, how did I miss that? Like, hold on. When did that happen? It's because it was buried in a big old chunky paragraph. When you want something really big and important to stick out to a reader, put it on a line all its own or put it in a shorter sentence. I'm gonna show you where I did this and it's kind of breaking a rule sometimes, but hold on. The Cursed Hunter. This is one of my favorite examples. I'm also gonna show you, the Holly Black book is actually upstairs in my room because I wanna read it, but Holly Black also did this and then so did Bridget Kemmerer in this book. But I'll show you how I did it in The Cursed Hunter. So this is, just in case you don't know, the 3rd book in my fairy tale fantasy series, but it can be read out of order. This is the only one that you can read first. Otherwise, it's supposed to be read in order. But it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so I wanted to make it one that you could read at any point. So let me find it. So there's 2 POVs in this chapter. You don't know right away who the first one is. It just says the dragon. And you see how each line, each phrase, like there's just one word. It's like kill, eat, fire. That was the vibe. That just makes it come across a lot more punchy, right? And then this one, I'm not gonna show you close up because I don't want you to actually read it. It's literally the last page. This last page, the epilogue, is 2 sentences before it says the end. So yeah, it's breaking some rules there. You have to use it carefully. You should not be doing it all the time. Readers do not want a book that's just short. It would be like talking to somebody who was very rapid fire and it's intense. So it's meant to be used in intense moments, honestly. And it's a pacing thing as well, because shorter sentences lead to faster pacing. All that to say, like, vary it up. Use sentence variation, the longer for the slower points in the story, shorter sentences interspersed without, especially to emphasize, you know, the important or more interesting things. And then maybe even putting them on a paragraph all by themselves, especially when you want to speed up the pacing, then the paragraph, like very short, kind of like I showed you. Maybe not to that extreme very often though. But that awareness of how sentence length and paragraph length affect a reader is going to be super valuable for you. Okay, so that was a very niche thing. I have always wanted to do a video on that, and I've never known exactly how to fit it in, but now it's in this video. Okay, the second thing I learned is what she called syllable to word ratio. And we were actually reading, hold on, this book. This book was something I got a lot out of during my college career. Is that what people say? I don't know. Anyway, so I think there might even still be to this day the spot where we did the syllable to word ratio in class that day. But anyway, I'll just demonstrate with this book. So you take a random paragraph, right? That's a huge paragraph, actually. You could take a shorter one than that. This book has long paragraphs. I don't know, you could take one like this size or a little bigger, it doesn't matter. And what you're going to do is you're going to, on the side of the book, in the margins if you want, or on a separate piece of paper if you don't want to hurt your poor book, you're going to put a tally mark for every single word in that paragraph. Then you're going to go back through it and you're going to put a tally mark for every single syllable. Syllable to word ratio. So if they're the same, it's like one word for one syllable, you've got a lot of short words, you're actually writing at a more beginner level. Versus if you have a very high syllable to word ratio, I think I'm saying that right, I don't remember. Doesn't matter. If you have like, I don't know, a 4-to-1 syllable to word ratio or a 5 or 6 or 7-to-1, that means you're using a lot of massive words and it's going to read more like a college textbook, which this is not a good example, but if you've ever read a college textbook and you're like, I can't even, I am so bored, I hate this, I just like, blah. That's because the syllable to word ratio is probably quite a bit higher and it just bogs readers down. We're not even mentally aware of it. It's a very subconscious thing, but if you want readers to put comments and reviews, which I've gotten that are like, I just feel like this is such easy reading. I just breeze through it. I love the writing style. I love how easy it is to digest. Those comments, readers don't even know the reason behind it, but it's because of a lower syllable to word ratio. You don't have to write children's books, okay? Unless that's the genre that you're writing. But what you do have to do is consider, am I like Joey and Friends who I'm putting everything into the thesaurus until it makes zero sense anymore?
What was this sentence originally?
Oh, they are warm, nice people with big hearts.
And that became, they are human, prepossessing Homo sapiens with full-sized aortic pumps.
Yeah, and hey, I really mean it, dude.
This one might get me some troll comments just if people think that I'm dissing big words, and I'm not. So please don't get offended if you're like, but I love my big words. It's fine. There's actually a word for it, I think. It's called purple prose. Purple prose is writing that is overly ornamental, ornate, and flowery, using too many adjectives, adverbs, and complex sentences that distract from the narrative and make the text difficult to read. And I would argue more complex words as well. So I think personally, this is just my opinion, but I think that syllable to word ratio can make it feel like purple prose as well, and it can make it feel too dense and just kind of overwhelming to the reader that they just put your book down. And you know, there's always going to be some people who like that kind of writing. If you really, really want to, go for it. But if you're thinking to yourself, I don't need to be that kind of writer, I would rather have my readers just enjoy the story and get into it, then syllable to word ratio might be something worth thinking about. The good news is, for this tip, I really, really, really do not think you need to do a syllable to word ratio check very frequently. Probably, I don't even know if I've ever done it. It's just more something you're aware of when you start going, how many big words am I using right now? You don't really have to sit there and, you know, do tally marks for the words and then tally marks for the syllables. You just start to recognize it and go, yeah, I can tone that down. And then this is something you can do in edits as well. The third and final lesson, I guess, that I feel like I took away from my college experience is one that my professor did not intend to teach me at all, okay? She, like, you heard my story. She did not like my writing. She made me feel terrible about it. Maybe not on purpose, I hope not. But it was just a really, really bad experience. I stopped writing for years. I was like, I'm done. I don't even like stories anymore. Who reads? I don't want to read. And I love reading, so that was a big thing for me. But coming back to my point, she taught me that not everyone is going to be your target audience, and that's okay. More importantly, let me just tag this on. She taught me that it doesn't mean your work is bad, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't write it. Or maybe instead of taking all the shouldn'ts and nots, it means you should still write it, because not everybody's your target audience, and that's okay. It just proves, like, she loves poetry and nonfiction, and I love fantasy worlds and romantasy and rom-coms. I love all those things that are fiction. She was not my target audience. It's really that simple. Yeah, I'm just gonna close with that, because I feel like even though I'm frustrated with the way she expressed that she didn't like my writing, I'm okay with her not liking my writing. It's something that you're going to experience. In fact, you are guaranteed to experience it if you're gonna be a writer, if you're going to publish anything, I guess. Because technically, if you don't publish it, then no one will read it, and you know, you get the point. But what I'm trying to say is you have to be okay with not everybody liking your work, and you have to realize that that doesn't mean your work is bad. One of my best books, I guess best performing for lack of a better word, The Stolen Kingdom, has over 600 reviews on Amazon right now. And even that book, if I gave it to her, I don't think she would like it. And so, but a lot of other people do. Like, a lot of those reviews were 5-star reviews, okay? A lot of people like that book. So do I let the one person who doesn't even like my genre and never would dictate what I write? Or do I let it go and say it's fine? Like, I'm not going to be offended anymore. I'm not going to be hurt anymore, or hold on to your opinion being the only opinion and have this idea that everyone must like my work, because that's not the case, and it's not going to be true. And to be fair, that professor, I actually just recorded a video that I will link below about how I actually unpublished my first book because I can see where she was coming from. Some of my writing was not great, and I talked about that in that video, so I'll link that below. But even the book that I'm writing now, okay, I tried to do the math, and I think I'm on like my 11th-ish or 12th-ish novel. It's hard because not all of my books are published, and not all of them are finished. I'm roughly on my 12th book, in the middle of it, and I am loving it. I think my writing is way better, like just worlds better than it used to be. I've learned so much, and I'm very proud of it, actually. But even that book, which I think a lot of people are going to love, I don't think that professor would like it. I don't think that's going to change. So anyway, that kind of just wraps it up, hopefully, with like an encouraging note that even though not everybody's going to like what you write, there will be people who love what you write. And one of my favorite quotes to this date is that someday you are going to be someone's favorite author. And that's what you need to focus on, is the people who will love your work, the people who will absolutely adore your story. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.